but I am excited to talk to you guys about defense. I'm passionate about defense. I love defense. I'm a 4-3 guy, but I'll take you through a little bit of the history of how we ended up here. Started off coaching as obviously a young man, loved doing it. Got involved with a great staff, guys that knew what they were doing. The year I got on the staff, we went to the 4-3. Well, it was new to everybody back then. This was back in '99, and we got in the 4-3, but our head coach wanted us to do some other stuff. He wanted us to get in a 50 look. He wanted us to get in a split look, you know, stuff that they'd been doing. And every time we got in a different look, to those coaches, it was that defense. So if we got in a 50 look, all of our 4-3 principles went out the window. If we got in a stack look, all of our 4-3 principles went out the window. If we got in a split look, all of our 4-3 principles went out the window because the other coaches were going, yeah, I used to run the 50, this is what we did. And so all of a sudden our Sam linebacker, who's a linebacker, is walking up, splitting somebody, getting ready to jack and throw his flipper. And I'm going, whoa, I don't want to coach 3 different defenses completely different. And so what I did was over time, I just started listening to coaches, going to these things and putting things together, trying to match things up so that when I ran the 4-3, when I finally became the defensive coordinator or head coach, whatever, we ran the 4-3, the same principles married, and you're gonna hear me say this as much as you'll hear me say anything else, we had as much same as crossing over from front to front to front to front. All right? We didn't get in something and all of a sudden drop every principle we've ever taught our guys. I'm a D-line guy. I live and die by the D-line. I love D-line. I didn't want my guys to all of a sudden walk up on somebody being a head-up technique and start two-gapping when we never teach two-gap principles. We're a one-gap, hand in the ground, key the ball and go team, right? So what I've done over the last 10, 15 years is compile this stuff and put together a system for high school coaches, for me initially, that married this stuff together and made the 4-3 adaptable, because we know we see a ton of offenses every year. I mean, we played one team this year that ran, they started off in the Tony Franklin spread, so they were all over the place, trying to go fast. Then they got in the I formation and came downhill, and then they got in the wing T and ran buck and trap. So I saw that in one game. Now they didn't run buck or any of that stuff well, but they did it. And so you have to be in a place where your kids can line up and play, and you have to be, as a coach, able to go from a nickel look to a 3-4 look to a dime look to a base 4-3 look, and it be the same. You want same as principles across the board. So as a DC, this is kind of the way we looked at it. The cornerstones for being the coach. This isn't for the kids necessarily. This is the way we think. First and second down, we stop the run, we play good zone defense. Now, I will throw in a little caveat here, depending on the offensive coordinator we're facing. I'm a first down blitzer. I like to blitz on first down if I think we can catch them off guard, if they're not a big screen team and all that. So the only caveat is know your OC, and don't be afraid to blitz early. Don't be afraid to blitz early. But on third down is where we get the freakiest. And you'll see we'll go anywhere from dropping 7 in our base to being in a nickel look, dime, bring zone blitzes, nickel blitzes. We bring a lot. Now, it sounds like a lot of stuff, but if you are systematic in the way you approach this thing, if you're systematic in the way you set up your defense, all you're doing is personnel subbing and showing looks. You're really running your base stuff, and we'll get into that later. And that's what I love about this stuff. That's why I'm excited about it. Best case scenario, obviously, in the 4-3, and this is where you have to start looking at who you have as a high school coach, who you're not recruiting like the college coaches. Best case scenario is that you have 4 defensive linemen that can rush the passer enough so you don't have to bring much pressure. We all know that. That's what you're looking for. You're looking for your best 4 down linemen. We always take away the middle of the field, so continue on as a DC. You're thinking, I need 4 cats or dogs, war daddies up front. We need to make sure we take away the middle of the field from a team. And then obviously you're going to game plan appropriately. Then truth of the matter is, guys, this is the stuff that you demand of your kids. You demand that they are disruptive. You demand that they have relentless pursuit to the ball. You demand that their attitudes are something like they're playing with their hair on fire. And this requires the defensive coordinator and your defensive staff to be high energy guys when you're out there. Don't fake it. Kids know when you're faking it, but you have to bring some energy and funk to defense that maybe an offense doesn't have. I don't mean that you have to be a cusser or anything like that. You don't even have to scream. You just have to get excited when the kids run around and make plays. And so along with taking away the middle of the field, I mean, we bring an attitude to our defense that allows these kids to play fast, that allows them to see the ball, go get the ball within the parameters of the calls. At the point of attack, you must be a tackler. You have to be good tacklers. We work on tackling every day. We don't necessarily do it as a group running through a tackling circuit. We're going to do it either in our individual groups, and then at least once a week we're going to hit a tackling circuit. Eliminate mental mistakes, guys. You know this as well as anybody does. On defense, if you cannot get aligned, if you don't know your assignment, you have lost the battle. So you want to eliminate as many mental mistakes as you can, and that is completely dependent upon you and how you practice. When we practice, we rep everything. You'll see us go through blitz circuits. You'll see us go through set rec periods, what we call it, where we set up and we recognize the formations and we adjust. We're going to try and put our kids in the best possible position to go play without mental mistakes. And when they're mentally prepared, they play faster. They play faster. You know, the closer you are to that line of where the kids know or they're not sure, you know that as a coach. You see that every day. When you're along that line where they are not quite sure about what to do, you're dancing along the line of failure. And failure as a coach is putting your kids in a situation where they can't be successful. And that's what we owe our kids. That's why we do this. We don't do this for ourselves. We don't do it for our records. We don't do it for anything else except for the kids. We're doing it to put them out there so that they can grow as young men and play this game to the best of their ability. That's why we do it. The kids will always make mistakes. Mistakes are correctable, but if the coach is causing mistakes, that is not correctable on the field. You with me? That takes off-season learning, training, cohesion as a staff. You have to be on top of your game as a coach, because if the coach is constantly causing mistakes on the field, you can't correct that. You have to step in and take it over. We have a lot of goals. Our primary goal every year is to not allow points. Not allow points. I mean, it used to be yardage and all that stuff, but you play Tony Franklin teams that are going up and down the field 100 miles an hour, forget yardage. Forget yardage. Maybe if you're playing a wishbone team, that might come into effect, but for us, it's points. Ultimately, we have more points than them, we're good. Have a plan for the red zone. That's a big deal for us. We make sure that we have a distinct plan that we have repped out in practice for the red zone, because we know that a lot of teams, I mean, we play teams that will be literally huddle, stats included, everything. They'll be 90+% pass all the way down the field till they get to the red zone. And when they get to the red zone, now they're 60% run. And so your plan that you used between your end zone you're defending and the 20 has to change dramatically once you get to that 20, right? Because now they're 60% run as opposed to the 80% pass. Make sure you have a red zone plan. Have a goal line plan for all your personnels, and I'm sure you guys are familiar. 32, 30, 21, that's the running backs. The first number is the running backs, the second number is the tight ends. Have your plan for those personnel groupings, because those personnel groupings require different personnel groupings on your end, and therefore it's going to require different calls. So make sure you have a goal line plan. And for us, for example, during camp, when you're working on stopping 21 personnel run game, getting your goal line stuff. Do it early. for us, when we're trying to make sure that we cover run fits, one of the best ways to cover run fits is to defend the flex bone or the double wing, you know, the Air Force thing, Air Force offense, whatever that is. That's one of the best ways for us to work on our run fits, because our guys have to take dive, you have to have quarterback, you have to have pitch. And so we do that in camp. We designate a day, whether we're gonna play a team like that or not, where we're strictly working on base run fits. And that, to me, is the best offense to make sure that your kids are working on their run fits. So make sure you have a plan for all of these things, beginning in the spring, carrying over to the summer, and then I don't know what you guys can do in the summer, but in Tennessee, they just allowed us to go full practice all summer long without pads, obviously, we wear helmets. So our summer plan has changed, because now we can start working on install the day school ends. And so it's a completely different deal for us. This is the first year. So we started working on our plan 2 weeks ago for how we're going to attack the summer, because it's never been that way for us in Tennessee. Have your plan set together, get the ball back for your team, get the ball back for your offense. And guys, this is huge. This is huge. As a defensive coordinator, you focus on the defense. You don't care where you get on the field. You do not care where you get on the field. The minute your kids see you hanging your head because your offense tried something fun and ended up turning the ball over on the 8-yard line, and your kids are looking at you as they're going out in the field, and you're going, holy crap, I cannot believe that Billy called a double reverse on the 8-yard line. Dude, don't blink. And I say it over and over to those kids, do not blink. When we go in, we do our job. Do your job. I made it as obvious as this. When the offense would go on the field, so my kids, the first year I was with them, would understand how seriously I took that concept, don't blink, I would go sit on the bench when the offense was on the field. So they understood, I don't care. I do not care. When our time is called, we get out and we go. I would literally go sit on the bench and start working on my calls for the next series. Don't blame the offense, don't blame the kids. No excuses, demand them to get the ball back at all times. The principles that we work on defense are discipline, effort, and toughness, and you work on that every day. You work on gap integrity every day. You work on tackling every day. I mean, for a linebacker, at some point you're gonna have to meet somebody in the hole. And it's gonna test every ounce of your manhood. That's why I love this game. It puts you in a situation that you'll see later on in life, but you don't see it in any other sport, where some big dude's coming through a hole and it's you and him. You're testing effort and toughness every day. And we grade that out on our practice film. We grade these things, discipline, effort, and toughness. And I meet with the coaches and we talk about it. And when they watch film with the kids, they're covering the great things that the kids do, but they're covering the discipline, effort, and toughness mistakes that we see. Now, getting into the system. Those are just thoughts from me as a DC. Those are the things that are the core ideas for how I approach game planning and the year. The 4-3, it has to be multiple and adaptable. And teaching the same techniques, guys. Teaching the same techniques. You want same as. The defensive staff has got to buy into the principles, and that's another deal. I mean, you have got to get full buy-in by your staff. You have got to be so passionate and excited about what you're doing that your coaches become passionate and excited about it, and so you get full buy-in. And then, again, ultimately, you're looking for fundamentals, you're looking for football IQ, effort, you're looking for that passion to play, toughness. Do they love to hit? No hitting on defense equals no playing, with the exception of maybe a free safety that can ball hawk and do all that stuff. For the most part, no hitting equals no playing. Discipline, protect the team. Do what we do, how we do it. And protect the team goes to off the field stuff, it goes to on the field penalties, all of that. It's all encompassing, and that's one of our team rules. Protect the team at all times. And that is a simple thing that the kids can grab a hold of, whether they're out partying or whether they're getting pissed off and looking for a 15-yard penalty that your team can't take right then. Pressure. I love pressure. I love pressure. We are an in-your-face pressure defense. We're an attacking defense. We're committed to being a 4-3, 8 defenders in the box, and playing downhill. Swarm and punish is our mantra. That's what we break it down to, swarm and punish. We believe in putting pressure on people because in pressure situations, you're going to see the weakest point in that team. And so we create the situations. We do not allow offenses to dictate to us. Even Tony Franklin teams that go 100 miles an hour. Stopping the run. Stop the run. That used to be what we saw all the time. It still is for the most part, but obviously that adapts to your team that you're playing. But we are a stop the run first team. Put them in something that either they're not comfortable with or they're one-dimensional. Either way, you want them to be one-dimensional so that you can attack their offense accordingly. Create big plays and force turnovers. That's the key to being a great defense. You do that, you'll be a great defense. Punish the QB. We want to wreck the decision maker. That's what we say. We're constantly talking to our D-line and our linebackers about wrecking the decision maker. Ultimately, if I'm playing you as a coach, I'm really not playing you. I'm playing that 17 or 18-year-old kid that's out there on the field. No matter what you call, no matter how great a play you call, ultimately I am playing, my guys are playing against that 17-year-old kid. And so if I can wreck the decision maker, no matter how good your play call is, if your quarterback is unsure of himself, doesn't believe that his O-line can handle what we're doing, he is not going to play as effectively because he's going to be worried about other things than execution. And we believe in the fifth part, confuse the offensive line. And those guys up front, they don't like to see people moving around. They don't like to see guys crossing over 2 gaps. They don't like that stuff. They want guys to be where they are so that they can step on top of them and start riding them. So what we do is by multiple alignments, line games, blitzes, we're going to keep that offensive line guessing. And it's that boxer principle. Never leave your chin in the same spot for too long or else you are going to get knocked out, right? And so what we're going to do is we're going to move things around so that we can be effective at confusing the offensive line and wrecking the decision maker. These 5 objectives drive the decisions that we make. They drive our defense.